who sings to the universe. We come for a silent moon, a morning star who sings.
Good morning. Good morning. So we will open today's return with a reading. Larger Circle, number 646 in Singing the Living Tradition. We clasp the hand. I'm sorry, I'm going to take up my mask. If that's okay. If anyone's uncomfortable, please bring your hand here. Okay. We clasp the hands of those that go before us. We enter the little circle of each other's arms. And the larger circle of all creatures. To a music so subtle and vast that no ear hears. Welcome back. We're glad you joined us in worship today. Whoever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation, or gender identity, you are welcome to worship here and become part of this community. Are there any announcements? Kids for RE? Let's get the boring grown-up stuff. I'd like to welcome, are there any other announcements? Sorry.
I would like to write a couple. First, I want to thank everybody who helped me get the kitchen cleaned up while we were closed, especially Danny, Jude, and Susan for putting in a lot of time. So thank you, everybody. And secondly, I just want to thank everybody for being so patient during our brief closure and for returning and for all the hard work that you all do. So thank you.
On that note, thank you, Debbie and Aaron, for helping take down Christmas. Do you do you want to do, finish up the last of this? Do you need help finishing up the last of this?
After the service, yeah, we've got some boxes to put away and there's more business in the hall.
Okay. All right, with that, are there any other announcements? Okay, then I'm pleased to welcome our guest minister for today, Reverend Dr. Judy Campbell. She's an author, she is a minister, and she is here today to talk to us about widening the circle.
Good morning. And some of you I know, some of you I don't know, but I have a relationship with this church that goes way, way, way back. And I'm just really happy to be here as you open your doors. Before we go into any part of the regular service, I wonder if we could have a moment of silence for the people in Ukraine. Can we wrap the souls of the people who are hurting and the people who are doing the hurting in love, that we might, however we can, may that love make a difference. Let us be quiet together. I would urge that there's not a lot we can do from our living room or our church pew, but if somebody's a friend of mine is doing a birthday fundraiser for the people of Ukraine, I sent $5, $2, $1, but they need money, they need prayers, they need hope. Let it be so, let it be in your heart. And now we begin. Come into the circle of love and justice. Come into the community of mercy, holiness, and health. Come and you shall know peace and joy. At times, our light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. I can speak to that, to several of you here right now. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. And those are the words of Dr. Just read it.
This will be another responsive reading, number 550. We belong to the earth. This we know, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. All things are connected. We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Please stand as you're willing and able for the lighting of the chalice. And recite with me the words of the Lord's chalice. Kindling this flame of our liberal heritage in our chalice of community, let us open to the presence of the Savior. And now the affirmation. Love is the doctrine of the church, the quest for truth in sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated. If it is language that makes us human, one half of language is to listen. Silence can exist without speech, but speech cannot live without silence. Listen to the speech of others. Listen even more to their silence. We now have the opportunity to share our joys and concerns with one another.
A candle of joy for my brother and his wife who are expecting their first baby.
A candle of joy for being here and for you welcoming.
A candle of sorrow for my friend Penny and his family. He was 91. Richard Boyd.
Candle of concern for my husband Justin and the undergoing surgery tomorrow.
Another couple of candles or candle for Calloway family. I mentioned back in the fall that Richard Calloway passed away last year. And just recently found out that one of his sisters, Pat Calloway, was active here. Also, his sister, they both passed away because yes, with the Calloway family. They used to take up a whole field.
A candle of gratitude to everyone in the church who's done so much to help us through these hard times. And especially to Julie, for all her hard work to get cleanliness out in the kitchen.
roll.
And again, of all the people who are taking place.
One more for all the joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts.
The words of Wendell. Within the circle of our lives, we dance the circle of the years, the circles of the seasons within the circles of the years, the cycles of the moon within the circles of the season, the circles of our reasons within the cycles of the moon. Again, again, we come and go, changed, changing, hands join, unjoined in love and fear, grief and joy. The circles turn, each giving unto each and unto all. Only music keeps us here, each by all the others held. In the hold of hands and eyes, we turn in pairs, that joining each to all again. And then we turn aside alone, out of the sunlight gone, into the darker circles of return.
The purpose of church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gift of the congregation will be most greatly received. Please stand as you're willing and able to recite the dedication of gifts. Spirit of truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Align our hearts to sacred hour in faith and hope and charity. Amen. Please be seated. Oh, okay. All right. This is from Black Elk Speaks by Dr. John G. Leehart. This is a childhood vision. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole fruit of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understand more than I saw. For I was seeing in a sacred manner the shapes of all things in the spirit, and the shape of all things as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred group of my people was one of the many groups that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy. I saw ahead the rainbow flaming above the teepee of the 6 grandfathers, built and roofed with cloud and sewed with thongs of lightning. And underneath it were all the wings of the air, and underneath them the animals and men. All these were rejoicing, and the thunder was like happy laughter. As I rode in through the rainbow door, there were cheering voices from all over the universe, and I saw the 6 grandfathers sitting in a row with their arms held toward me and their hands palm out. And behind them in the cloud were faces thronging without number of the people yet to be. A good nation I will make live. This is a nation above has said. They have given me the power to make over. Song of power, he sang towards the end of the childhood vision.
Thank you, Rick. When you go home, you have that reading, all of our readings in your order of service. And I invite you to read that piece again. The imagery is so beautiful and speaks to where we are right now, people welcoming us, people yet to be. What are we moving towards? Who is holding us? Who are we moving towards? I have a long history with this place, and despite everything that's happened to all of us in the last 2 years, I feel honored to be with you as you open your doors once again. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? I keep telling myself that. But after 2 years of masked and unmasked struggling with broken dreams, a broken government, broken lives, and broken hearts, my own included, and now an unprovoked war in Eastern Europe, I don't feel in the least bit stronger. In fact, I feel just the opposite. I don't feel strong at all. I feel vulnerable, scared, tired, and weary, and different, angry, confused, and often with neither faith or hope. And that's not a good day. What I need most in the midst of all of this continuing uncertainty is to know that I am connected, grounded, and surrounded by those I love and who love me. Love me for what I am, not for what I could be or what I should be, but for who I am. And so with references to the wise words of sachem and prophet of the Lakota people, Black Elk, and the memories of the play party games of our childhood, and a powerful little poem that is, I think, in your order of service, I'm not quite sure, but I'll check on that in a minute. Into a circle. I'll find it. I bid you well. The intent of this message is to get us thinking about the interconnected circles of our living as individuals and as a beloved church community. I want us to think about the circles that protect us and encourage our growth. And conversely, the circles that close us off and exclude others. Here's my little poem. I knew it was there. Outwitted by Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out. Heretic, a rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took me. And it would be so easy to end right there. Add a few more readings, tell a story, tie it all together, and be done, mission accomplished. But alas, I am a victim of my own creativity and integrity. And as I said, I do love a good challenge. I need to widen my own circle of thinking. So first, a true story, and one that you will help me with, I hope. Many years ago, I was invited to be co-leader of a junior high kids English Unitarians Ethics and Values retreat in the Great Hucklow Unitarian Retreat Center in the north of England. We played the in and out game, and we're going to see how that works right now. So, I'll ask you to stand as you're willing or able, or simply raise your hand. Everyone who has shoes or boots on, raise your hand or stand up. Okay, repeat after me. We're in. A little bit louder.
We're in.
Okay. Everyone who has ever ridden in a car.
Yes, we're in.
We're in. Anyone who's ever planted a vegetable garden. Okay. We're in. Turn, and you're out. We're in, you're out. Anyone who's ever traveled to Europe. We're in, you're out. Anyone who's ever sung in the choir. We're in, you're out. Anyone who's ever slept in a tent in the woods alone. We're in, you're out. You see where this is going? You can see what's happening here. The circle of who's in is getting smaller, and the qualifications of staying in are getting narrower. And in this case, deliberately sillier and less meaningful. And still, if you really want to be honest with yourself, however the ins and outs are defined, somehow it feels better to be inside than outside, than being cast out or cast aside. Think about it. Remember playing Duck, Duck, Goose or Wonder Ball or musical chairs when you were little? How many of you remember that? I taught kindergarten, taught them how to do that. You wanted to stay in the game and not be eliminated. There were no prizes, no real winners, but you wanted to keep on playing. When you're in, you can continue to play the game. And when you're out, then you're out. Remember? Or when you're in, you're in. And when you're out, you're out. And when you're only halfway in, you need to in or out. I taught that too. The sad truth is, Many people will do anything to stay inside the circle. And once inside, almost as many want to shut the gate behind them against any others who might want to come later. The kids at the retreat center learned how little it took to be in or out, and that inness and outness could change on a dime. And even though they knew it was a game and nothing would ever harm them in a Unitarian retreat center, they still preferred being in because they had red socks than being out because they were wearing blue eyeglasses, but they never owned a dog. One could ask, how far have we come? Or is it just the nature of being human, of wanting to belong, to fit in, of feeling safe and accepted by the group, and then to shut the door behind us? I'm in, you're out. Belonging is, but at what cost? Last month, we observed Valentine's Day, and I say observed rather than celebrated quite deliberately. Valentine's Day can be a challenge. Do you remember, any of you remember back before kids had to bring a Valentine for every kid in the class? And some kids got some and some kids didn't. I still have flashbacks about that. I was a movie. So as a first-year kindergarten teacher in Milton, Massachusetts, a million years ago, things were already beginning to change. On the Monday before the day, in preparations for the party on Friday, I sent a note to parents with a list of names of class members, saying it was the custom that everyone would send a card to everyone else, and I had extras if needed. The next day, I got a note from a Jehovah's Witness family asking that for religious reasons their daughter not be included in the activity or given it Valentine's. Should I disregard their wishes and give her a bag of cutouts or stickers or candy along with the other kids and shut up? Not my first choice. Should I pretend I never got the note? Possibility, but it went against my professional ethics. On the other hand, could I sit there and let a 5-year-old sit off by herself or be sent to the library while the other kids had the party they've been talking about and getting ready for all week? Not in your life. I sent Charlene's parents a note asking if they might consider keeping her home that day on account because I thought it might be easier on her. Not happening. On Valentine's Day, Charlene came to school. And when the appointed party time came, I produced a bag of paper stickers and such I picked up at the equivalent of the dog store back then, which I explained to the kids were not Valentines. No way, not even how to do it, no Valentines. But these were some different surprises, especially for Charlene, because her family's practice was not to do anything special on other people's holidays. I told them that we needed to respect people's different family practices. But I thought it would be nice for her to have a little bag of something to open when the other kids were opening their Valentines. I explained this by saying people do things differently. And while Charlene's family didn't celebrate holidays, she could still have her own kind of fun with the rest of us. Did I make the right decision? I still don't know. Nobody filed a complaint. I wasn't fired. Today, I'm out. What was most important to me then was keeping Charlene in the circle, not seeing a 5-year-old hurt or feeling left out. In my heart, I bridged the gap. The little girl had not one single Valentine, but she did have a bag of un-Valentines that looked very much like what the other kids had on their desks, and she felt included. She stayed inside the circle. In my older you awareness, I still don't know whether I did the right thing. The heart is not always the best judge of a situation. But like the symbol of the heart, an even more and universal symbol is that of the circle. Many indigenous people are human. Among many indigenous people, our human existence is seen as an interconnected, sound like a Pennsylvania, interconnected part of a familiar, of a larger whole, a circle wherein all things exist and are interdependent. And in order to thrive, each part of the circle needs to be in harmony with the whole. Lakota Sachem, Chief Black Elk, called this the concept of the sacred hoop of his people, of his world, his planet, and his life. When it goes right, we all thrive. And when it doesn't, when we fall out of harmony with ourselves and the natural world, we and the ecosystem will suffer. I'd like Rick to read another piece from Black Elk.
Hey, lean to hear my feeble voice at the center of the sacred hoop. You have said that I should make the tree to bloom, with tears running, O great spirit, my grandfather. With running eyes, I must say, the tree has never bloomed. Here I stand, and the tree is withered. Again, I recall the great vision you gave me. It may be that some little root of the sacred tree still lives. Nourish it then, that it may leaf and bloom and fill with singing birds. Hear me, that the people may once again find good growth.
Black Elk says, find the good road and the sheltering tree. Are we not all looking for the good road and the sheltering tree, looking for our own circle? According to the Lakota, we are all in the circle, the sacred hoop, and the truth is that some of us are more intentional, more responsible for its safekeeping and its continuity than others. There will always be an in and an out. I think it's part of our human nature. And like the little game we played earlier, the in and the out will change over time. Sometimes we get to choose our circles. Sometimes we don't. Hear me, that the people may once again find the good road and the sheltering tree. This place is a sheltering tree. The varying natures of our circles and our engagement with those several circles is how we live our lives. It is the investment, the interconnection, and integration of our many circles with the greater circle, like the road less traveled, that will make all the difference. What I need most in the midst of all of this continuing uncertainty is to know that I am connected, grounded, and surrounded by those I love, and those who love me for what I am. I'm profoundly grateful for my local UU circle of friends. I'm a community minister in Kingston, Massachusetts. Circle of friends and colleagues, for my greater national UU circle, and my even greater and more inclusive UU international circle. I am part of that. Those me circle, church circle, district circle, national circle, international circle. I've traveled internationally for Unitarianism, and it's quite an experience. Your affiliation, your church affiliation is one of your interconnecting circles. When you go home today, I would ask that you take a look at your circles and where they interconnect. Are they working for you? And if so, why? If not, why not? Are they circles of growth or are they circles of stasis? Are they permeable or are they ironclad? It's not about which one is better. It's about knowing which ones work for you and the greater good of the sacred hoop of community and life. We are interconnected on so many levels, and we, as Unitarian Universalists, have so much to offer within our circle and beyond it. Especially
Please stand if you are willing and able to recite the words in order of service for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please be seated. I'm going to add a little here very briefly before I say the benediction. Over the last 2 years, we've learned to do church differently. For a long time, people in administration and way up in the places we don't even think about have been talking about doing church differently. But all of us know how difficult it is to do anything in church differently. This has forced us to do it. And we've survived. And we've learned things in technology that we would never have done. Zoom has allowed housebound people to attend the church they love. Music on a cell phone, through the thumb. So as we step into a new world, as our circle grows, what are you going to add to the circle? That's it. Again, we come and go, changing. Hands joined, unjoined in love and fear, grief and joy. Circles turn, each giving unto each, and each giving unto all. Oh, peace.